YouTube. This is Spoke777 here on YouTube, and today I have a very short question to ask for people like Bengali One and others on the internet. They often complain that Adventists get their doctrines from the Old Testament. Well, that's because the Bible is primarily the Old Testament. 3/4 of it is the Old Testament. Jesus used the Old Testament. And what Paul said, he said all Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine. So guess what? The Old Testament is good to understand what the state of the dead is, the Sabbath, and etc. Now, my understanding is when Paul wrote a letter to Timothy, did he mean that everybody today should be reading it? I don't think anybody who wrote the New Testament actually anticipated that this is going to be put down as a New Testament, and that Christians are going to ignore the Old Testament and try to just quote the New. Okay, I'm going to tell you something a little bit about their logic. Deuteronomy 22:5. Anybody who knows this verse knows that this is the verse that condemns a man wearing women's clothing and a woman wearing man's clothing. Now, depending on how deep you want to get into the text, but at the first level, and just by how these people quote it, that's the only text in the whole Bible that says anything about cross-dressing. Nowhere in the New Testament, and this is spoken by Moses in the books of Moses. So, with their logic, they say, you know, it says in, was it Colossians, or one of those other passages they quote, that the handwriting containing ordinances that were contrary to us, taking it away and nailing it to his cross. Basically, doing away with it. Now, that is a poor translation. I like the way the New American Standard Bible actually makes more sense with it. It says, our debt. That's another subject. However, do these evangelical Christians like it when guys come to their churches wearing women's clothing? Do they like men coming in there wearing bras? Could you imagine Bengali One wearing pantyhose? With his logic, come on Bengali, it's nowhere in the New Covenant. Where is the New Covenant condemn wearing women's clothing? That's right, the inconsistency of these weird people on the internet. And it's the only verse in the Bible I'm familiar with that talks about it. And only in the Old Testament does it forbid marriage and relations with family members. I don't know of anywhere else in the Bible it specifies this out. Adultery is clearly spelled out what it is in the Old Testament. And you can't get such a definition if you throw out the Old Testament. You can have sex with animals. You can do whatever, disgusting stuff. Now, that was Deuteronomy 22:5. And that's another subject altogether. But the point of this video is not about transsexualism, whether it's right or wrong. The point is, do these Christians who believe that it's wrong not only are they quick to quote this part of the Old Testament and say, see, here's my proof text, and then they'll quote ones about homosexuality. See, there's my proof text. And guess what? When Adventists come around and show them, okay, Ecclesiastes 9:5, oh, that's Old Testament. What? Or we quote about the 7th days of Sabbath. That is the honor, it's a holy convocation. It says it in Leviticus, it says it in Exodus. Oh, that's Old Testament, that's done away with. Wait a minute. Do you understand where do they get such a belief from? Where is it even coming from? I don't think they know. The reality is they don't believe the Bible. Even the New Testament, when it flat out contradicts some of their theories, they ignore it. The New Testament quotes that they ignore. For example, when Jesus said, when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand where ought not, the heathen in Jerusalem flee into the mountains, and etc. Now, this is a reference to something they interpret as Antiochus Epiphanes. But if you take Jesus' word, it's not Antiochus Epiphanes at all. This is Jesus. He doesn't even recognize it. He recognizes something that's going to still happen. Guess what? They're wrong. And then what is their attitude? I've seen in an old version of the article on Daniel chapter 8 about this subject, and they said, well, hindsight doesn't really matter. They basically said that Jesus' own words do not matter. And how about this text in the New Testament? It says, fear him who's able to destroy both soul and body in hell. And that's in Matthew chapter 10. Basically saying that you do not have an immortal soul, that everything about you as a person is destroyed in hell, and that sounds like annihilationism. They've never explained it. They usually ignore it and whatever. But you can see the inconsistency with Bengali and other people like him. Deuteronomy 22:5, Old Testament, the only text in the Bible that talks about transsexualism. And it reads, "The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God." And that word abomination, it means something disgusting, abhorrence. So, there's no way around it. They can try to interpret it differently, but it's a risk that it's not worth losing heaven over just so you can pretend to be a woman or pretend to be a man. And some people argue, and I'm not even going to get into that subject because it's another subject, but this I'm just saying. They'll quote this to condemn that, but when you bring up, remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, 6 days you labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath, that's just Old Testament. Or when it says in Deuteronomy 14, do not eat pork. Oh, that's Old Testament, done away with. If it's truly done away with, like you say, why does disease exist? Why is there heart disease? They don't know. It just shows that they're full of themselves. That's why some atheists out there, when they hear you say these things, they think you're full of it, and they think the Bible's full of it. And this is Book 777 here on YouTube, and if you catch Bengali wearing women's panties, that would be very disturbing, but you know, it makes me kind of laugh thinking about this subject. Not that I'm trying to make fun of Bengali, I'm trying to be funny. Could you imagine me dressed like that? I would look really weird. Anyways, this is Book 777, and I hope you all have a good day, and if it's Sabbath you're watching this, happy Sabbath.